With the 2025 federal election on the horizon, the race is heating up, and all eyes are on Atlantic Canada. According to CBC's poll tracker as of March 12th, the Liberals are holding their ground, but the competition is getting intense. Let's break down the numbers. Leading the pack, we have the Liberal Party, currently commanding 43.9% of voter support. This strong lead suggests the Liberals are maintaining their traditional dominance in the region. But will it last? Challenging them is the Conservative Party, securing 35%. That's a notable position, keeping them within striking distance of the Liberals. If this trend continues, Atlantic Canada could become a battleground in the coming months. Meanwhile, the New Democratic Party, NDP, is polling at 13.6%. Not enough to threaten the top two, but still a significant force, particularly in key urban ridings. Can the NDP gain momentum and become a spoiler in the race? The Green Party is seeing 4.5% support, showing a modest presence, while the People's Party of Canada, PPC, is at 2.1%, struggling to gain traction. Other parties make up the remaining 0.9%, indicating limited but notable interest in alternative options. But here's the big question. Can the Conservatives close the gap, or will the Liberals solidify their lead? And what role will the NDP and smaller parties play in shaping the final outcome? Quebec is shaping up to be one of the most unpredictable battlegrounds in the 2025 federal election. With multiple parties vying for dominance, the latest CBC poll tracker numbers as of March 12th reveal a tight and dynamic race. Let's break it down. Leading the race, we have the Liberal Party holding 32.9% of voter support. While this puts them in first place, their lead isn't exactly comfortable. Quebec has always been a key province for the Liberals, but they're facing strong competition this time around. Coming in second, the Bloc Québécois, BQ, is making a serious push with 28.2% of the vote. As Quebec's nationalist party, the Bloc is proving once again that it remains a powerful force in the province. With a strong ground game and a focus on Quebec First policies, they could very well challenge the Liberals in key ridings. Meanwhile, the Conservative Party is polling at 23.8%, making significant gains compared to past elections. While historically less dominant in Quebec, their steady support suggests they could flip some seats, especially in suburban and rural areas. On the other hand, the New Democratic Party, NDP, is struggling to gain traction, sitting at just 8.5%. Once a major player in Quebec after the Orange Wave of 2011, the NDP has since lost much of its momentum in the province. Can they turn things around? The Green Party is polling at 3.5%, while the People's Party of Canada, PPC, holds 2%. Other smaller parties collectively account for 1.1%, indicating limited but existing support for alternative political movements. But here's the big question. Will the Liberals maintain their lead, or could the Bloc Québécois surge ahead and shake up the race? And with the Conservatives making steady gains, could they pull off an upset in key ridings? Ontario, the province that could decide the 2025 federal election, is seeing a major shift in momentum. According to the latest CBC poll tracker numbers as of March 12th, the political landscape is heating up. Let's break it down. In a significant development, the Conservative Party is leading the race in Ontario, securing a strong 42.5% of voter support. This marks a major shift from previous elections, where the Liberals have traditionally dominated in the province. If these numbers hold, it could be a game changer for the federal race. Trailing behind, the Liberal Party is sitting at 35%, a noticeable gap from the Conservatives. Ontario has long been a Liberal stronghold, particularly in urban centers like Toronto and Ottawa. However, with growing Conservative support in suburban and rural areas, the Liberals are facing an uphill battle. The New Democratic Party, NDP, is holding steady at 13.9%, a respectable number, but far from a competitive position against the top two parties. The NDP's influence in Ontario tends to be concentrated in urban areas, but without a major surge, they may struggle to gain new ground in this election. Meanwhile, the Green Party is polling at 4.8%, showing limited but consistent support among environmentally focused voters. The People's Party of Canada, PPC, stands at 2.7%, maintaining a small but dedicated voter base. Other smaller parties collectively account for 1.1%, highlighting the minimal impact of alternative political movements at this stage. But the real question is, can the Conservatives hold on to their lead, or will the Liberals mount a comeback as election day nears? And what role will the NDP and smaller parties play in shaping the final outcome? Ontario remains a battleground that could determine the fate of the next government. With shifting voter dynamics and high stakes for all parties, anything can happen. As we head into the 2025 federal election, Saskatchewan and Manitoba are showing a strong preference for the Conservatives. According to the latest CBC poll tracker numbers, as of March 12th, the race here is shaping up to be a decisive one. Let's take a closer look at the numbers. Dominating the region, the Conservative Party stands tall with a commanding 48.8% of voter support. This isn't surprising, as both Saskatchewan and Manitoba have traditionally leaned conservative, particularly in rural areas. If these numbers hold, the Tories could sweep the majority of seats in these provinces. The Liberal Party, trailing at 26%, is fighting to maintain relevance in the region. While they have some pockets of strength in urban centers like Winnipeg, their chances of flipping ridings remain slim unless they can close the gap with a late surge. The New Democratic Party, NDP, is polling at 17.9%, holding steady but not quite reaching the levels needed to challenge the two leading parties. The NDP has historically performed well in parts of Manitoba, particularly among unionized workers and Indigenous communities, but they'll need a big push to make significant gains. The Green Party sits at 4.1%, showing limited but dedicated support, while the People's Party of Canada, PPC, is polling at 1.9%, struggling to gain traction in these provinces. Other smaller parties collectively account for 1.2% of the vote share. The key takeaway? The Conservatives are firmly in control, but can the Liberals or NDP carve out any wins in urban ridings? With just months to go before the election, every vote counts and the battle isn't over yet. Alberta remains a Conservative stronghold, and the latest polling numbers reinforce their dominance in the province. According to CBC's poll tracker as of March 12, 2025, the race isn't just leaning Conservative, it's overwhelmingly in their favor. Let's break it all down. Leading by a massive margin, the Conservative Party is sitting at a commanding 56.1% of voter support. Alberta has long been a Tory heartland, and these numbers suggest that's not changing anytime soon. With this level of backing, the Conservatives are poised to secure the vast majority of seats in the province. The Liberal Party, far behind at 20.8%, is struggling to make inroads. While they may hold on to a few urban ridings in places like Edmonton and Calgary, their chances of a breakthrough remain slim against the Conservative wave. The New Democratic Party, NDP, follows with 16.3%, showing some support, particularly in progressive pockets of Alberta. However, these numbers indicate that while the NDP might compete in select ridings, they're not in a position to challenge the Conservatives province-wide. Meanwhile, the Green Party is polling at 2.5%, maintaining a small but dedicated base. The People's Party of Canada, PPC, sits slightly higher at 2.8%, though they remain a minor player in Alberta's political landscape. Other parties collectively make up 1.6% of the vote. The big question now, will the Liberals and NDP be able to hold on to their existing seats, or will the Conservatives expand their dominance even further? With Alberta's political landscape firmly leaning right, it'll be an uphill battle for the opposition parties to make any gains. We begin with the latest CBC poll tracker update on the British Columbia election polls. The race is heating up, and the numbers are giving us a clearer picture of where voters stand at this stage. At the top of the leaderboard, the Conservative Party is holding a commanding lead with 42.5% of the vote. This puts them in a strong position, showing significant support among British Columbians. Trailing behind in second place, the Liberal Party stands at 29.7%. While they are behind by nearly 13 points, they remain a key contender, especially if they can make gains in the coming weeks. In third place, we have the New Democratic Party, NDP, with 19.3%. Though they are far from the top two, the NDP has historically had strong pockets of support in British Columbia, and their strategy moving forward could still impact the race. The Green Party, once a growing force in BC politics, currently holds 6.1% of the vote. While not a major player in this poll, their influence in certain ridings could be decisive. The People's Party of Canada, CPC, registers at 1.6%, showing limited traction in the province. Meanwhile, other parties collectively account for 0.9%, suggesting minimal impact on the overall standings. With the Conservatives leading by a comfortable margin, the big question is, can the Liberals or NDP close the gap, or will the Conservatives continue to dominate the province? British Columbia is shaping up to be a key battleground, and these numbers could shift as we get closer to Election Day. Stay with us for the latest updates and in-depth analysis.